Astros, Forrest Whitley takes the mound. Young Justin Dirden goes deep again, and the Astros are rolling through spring training on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Veer leans back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we update you joins for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
You know, sometimes a young player comes up and they can't perform during spring training like they're a deer caught in headlights. But Justin Dirden, he's not doing that. He's impressing a lot of people in spring training, and we're going to talk about it. Like, is there a shot that he can make the open day roster? And Forrest Whitley, he's out of minor league options after this year. So what does that mean for him with the Houston Astros and his future? We'll talk about that on this edition of Locked On Astros podcast as well. So guys, thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go and give us a big fat like and go and subscribe to us as well, and go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I did watch the highlights, but all I can hear is what they said about Forrest Whitley. He made his first start since I think 2020 in spring training, and so this was a big deal for him. And all in all, from what I heard, it wasn't terrible. He did give up the home run. He had 2 strikeouts. He allowed 4 hits. So he wasn't really blowing it by him, but this was his first start with the Astros in a while. So there had to be a lot of adrenaline there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, Forrest Whitley has had that road where some people would almost say he's like Bigfoot. Like, I've heard of him, but I don't know that he exists. And today he showed up, and you wanted Forrest Whitley to go out and perform. You wanted to see him get through his 2 innings, his 35 pitches. You also wanted to make sure that he didn't come up with some injury that popped up, because the last time I saw him pitch in person, he pitched an 1.5 and he was done. So like you had mentioned, Eric, with the 2 strikeouts, he started with the strikeout with basically a strikeout looking, and then he ended with the strikeout with the same batter. So that guy has a 0 average and 2 strikeouts in his 2 at bats against Forrest Whitley.
He's a good hitter. I think he's the leadoff hitter for the Marlins, and I think he plays multiple positions. He's kind of utility guy. So he's not anybody. He's one of the actual everyday Marlins players that was in the lineup today.
Yeah, right. And I mean, look, all these guys right now, well, not all of them. Some of them are major league guys. Some of them are your minor league non-roster invitees. But look, he didn't walk anybody. He looked a little not uncomfortable. I know he's been working on a lot of things mechanically, and I know he's throwing. I don't know if it's an arm slot thing or what all he's changed, but he's doing a lot of new things. But for him to get out there and get through the 2 innings, to get through the 35 pitches, has got to give him confidence. And I know Dusty Baker, I know the Astros have been waiting for this moment, and they're really hoping that at some point, look, if you can get Forrest Whitley to be a late season call-up, Eric, and contribute at the end of the year like a Hunter Brown last year, that would be a huge bonus for this Astros team.
Yeah, he threw 24 of 35 pitches for strikes. He did give up a opposite field 2-run homer to Peyton Burdick, but overall he had 5 swings and misses, and he did have good stuff. He didn't walk any batters. So over and all in all, it was not a bad appearance for his first
Mm-mm.
start in spring training. You have all these guys that sometimes give up 4 or 5 runs and walk 5 or 6 batters because they're just not ready for spring training. So at least Forrest Whitley showed some command, and he said that he actually lowered his arm angle to maybe generate a little bit more velocity. There's no radar gun out there at West Palm Beach, so you can't really see. They couldn't say how fast he was throwing, but he said that I threw a lot of strikes. I filled it up mostly. The only difference as is I would probably throw different pitches and different counts. So that's it. And he said that he lowered it in part to increase his velocity, though it's unclear how hard he threw on Monday. So basically, that's just something he's trying to do. And he was trying to get a little bit more horizontal movement on his two seams and things, just to work a little bit better from down there. And I feel like I can throw more strikes. And that's the key thing is you want him throwing more strikes. He struggled with command all throughout the minor leagues. And can you imagine we drafted him back in 2016. It's been that long, dude. I mean, he was supposed to be the next best thing for Houston Astros, and it's 2023. He has yet to make his major league debut. The Astros added him to the 40-man roster 3 years ago, so he's already service time, not major league service time, but because they added him to the 40-man roster. That type of stuff has already started. So the Astros are counting on him this year, but also his future with the Astros could depend on what happens, because let's say he doesn't make it up this year. The Astros will have to put him on the open day roster next year because he'll be out of minor league options.
I really believe that you're going to see Forrest Whitley up here unless he gets injured. I don't see how you keep Forrest Whitley off of this pitching staff. And he's even said it, whether it's a relief role or as a starter, I just don't see how you keep him away. He has done his time literally in 3 years. He will have a 10-year professional baseball career. And he yet has made a significant impact on any roster in his young career. And he is
25.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's still you love saying that. Like I forget. I know he's 25. I think everybody knows he's 25.
Well, 25 is a good baseball age. That's when you should be getting ready for the major leagues.
Yes,
Or in.
But as a high school arm and as highly touted as he was, he
Yeah.
should have been up here when he was 21, 22. But I digress. Look, we can't go in the past and we can't cry over spilt milk. There is another pitcher out there. Oh, hey, Sean Dubin pitched today. Sean Dubin had some arm issues. He is a friend of the show. We had Seth Martinez, and then we also had Ty Buttery. We were talking about him before the show, and this is a guy that literally was going to retire. And you told me, and if the listeners don't know, like his AAA coach used to coach with the Astros, right? And what was the advice he gave him?
We'll talk about that in a second. I do want to, while we're talking about the young starters, I do want to mention that JP France, we've been talking about him being another starter. Did you know that he has an injury and the Astros have not disclosed that injury? So this is
HIPAA laws.
Yeah. So he hasn't, so he's been shut down in camp. And so I don't know if we can count him as the sixth guy. So if you're looking right now at who the sixth starter is going to be, it's going to be Brandon Belak or Forrest Whitley or one of the two relievers, Abreu or Blanco. So the Astros have some decisions to make before the season starts. And technically April, they don't really need the sixth starter. So by May, though, they do need that sixth starter. And we'll go ahead and talk about what Ty Buttery said in a second. But this episode is brought to you by Built Bar.
Yeah, Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar in the business. And if you are worried about calories and fat, don't worry about it. We got you covered. That's right. It is actually tasty. It's wrapped in 100% chocolate, and it's good for you. I don't know how they do it, but they keep bringing out these unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. Um, Listen to the macros of this thing: 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. Now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built bars at built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. So that's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you are close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box of our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You'll thank me later.
All right. So if we're looking at, while we're talking at starters before we get to Buttery, somebody asked about Seth Meyer, and we talking about stretching him out. I think that what he can do out of the bullpen is pretty good. He can come in and shut people down for multiple innings. He can kind of be that 2 to 3 inning guy, that kind of the Christian Javier, maybe not as effective as he could be, but I think he could be that long reliever the Astros need. And if you need to at some point, you could extend him to be a starter. But I think what they're looking at right now is they've got to do something with Forrest Whitley. And so they want to see, is he going to be a starter or is he going to be in the bullpen? And then Brandon Belak, he had a so-so start the other day, but it's the first start, so you're not going to get too concerned about that. But I think that this is a open tryout to what's going on. So in the minor leagues, he had 11 starts in the minor league. This is Seth Martinez versus appearing in 158 total games. So he's not really a starter. He's been more of a reliever type throughout his minor league career, while Forrest Whitley and Brandon Belak have been primarily starters.
Well, so if we're going on this theme of like which of these guys is going to be the sixth starter, I think it's Brandon Belak's to lose. I just don't see anybody else that has a better shot, because last year he plays that role really well. He plays that almost that that Peacock role from 2017. Eric, let me tell you, in 2022, he helped extend the bullpen. He helped the starters when they were out. Brandon Belak is your quality guy that is still looking to make this rotation. And when he's on, he's on. He is good in that role, and he is that guy that has the most experience. I don't think these other guys are going to jump him. Number one, Blanco's not going to jump him. Abreu's not going to become a starter. There's no way they're going to mess with that magic. Martinez in the majors last year only threw 2 innings once in 2022. And I just think that Whitley is going to take some time. Whitley needs to log the innings in AAA before he comes up. He's not going to be on this opening day roster. He's just not going to be up here. He doesn't have the innings. He doesn't have the experience. Now, had he had a full season in AAA, Forrest Whitley is definitely eyeing a spot on this rotation, but he's too far behind.
On June 8th, Brandon Belak pitched 3 innings, gave up 1 run, not a bad appearance. June 15th, 1 inning, no runs. June 18th, 3 innings, no runs. July 21st, 3.1 innings, no. He gave up 3 runs. And then on September 4th, 2 innings, 1 run. None of those were starts. Those were all kind of long relief roles. And so that's something that Seth Martinez could do. That's something that I think somebody else could do. Now, giving him the starting gig, I don't know if the Astros would do that. So I think that this is an open battle at spring training. And so Brandon Belak did show something last year. Forrest Whitley has not. I would agree with you there. But I think the spring training, they're going to have to see who's the best man. And they're going to have to give Forrest Whitley a chance because they want to see what they've invested in. And so,
well, right. I mean, yeah, they're going to have to give him a chance, but he hasn't even had a full season in AAA. There's no way they're going to start him as a starter to begin the season.
Not in
He's
April.
not there. No, he's going to be a late season call up. He's not going to be. No, that is not a late season call up. April is not enough time to. I think Forrest Whitley is going to need to go through a maturation process in AAA, because when he was in AAA last year, literally an inning and a half into his trying to restart things, he injures himself. They're not going to rush him. They are going to stretch him out. I'm going to have to disagree with you on this. I'm just saying Brandon Belak is the guy that projected out to be a starter in this rotation when they picked him up, and that is where he sits. Now, Seth Martinez, out of all those other guys, is probably the most likely to supplant him, but any of the other names I don't think stand a chance to be in a six-man rotation before the All-Star break.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll agree to disagree there, but that's fine. That's what the show's about. I think that Forrest Whitley has more of a shot than you're giving him a chance for, but that's fine.
No, I mean, based on what though? Based on what?
We haven't seen it. That's what I'm saying.
I know. Based on
designate him the winner after two starts.
We haven't seen it because he hasn't pitched, because he's been injured. So you're not going to put a guy who's been injured with not a lot of innings logged, stretched out as a starter in May in an Astros uniform. If it is, it's a miracle in the fifth degree, and I'll stand corrected. But I highly doubt that. The earliest he's going to be here is post All-Star break or late season call-up. You don't need to rush him. You can catch lightning in a bottle at the end of the season, and he'll be just as valuable in September rather than rushing him, because you got to see how his arm's gonna hold up, because there's nothing that shows me, there's no evidence, physical evidence that shows me that he can handle an entire season without being injured.
Okay.
Thoughts by Dusty.
I'm hoping I see the Forest I've been hearing about since I've been here. So that's a little bit of a pun there. He's talking about the pitcher and
was Dusty trying to be funny?
I think so. So yeah, I think that we'll see what happens. And there's a lot of time, like, you can't be overly excited about Justin Dirden so far, but yes, you can. That's such a short and compact swing, and opposite field double, then the home runs to both sides of the field. And it looks like, you know how most people have to, like, in order to hit a home run, they have to swing the bat as hard as they can and hope to make contact. That's not him. He just has this sweet swing, and it's just awesome when he makes contact. And I think this guy, I don't know if he can make the opening day roster, but if he continues hitting home runs left and right like he's doing, he may get the 26-man roster. I mean, that'll be a tough gig there, but there's a chance. I mean, if he outplays Jake Myers and Yainer Diaz or Corey Lee, whoever's the backup catcher can be, we'll see.
I think Jake Myers' job security is in danger with Justin Dirden. I'm looking at his minor league stats: 762 at bats, a 291 average, 39 home runs, 159 RBIs, and 939 OPS in 2022. Okay, between AA and AAA, 302 average, 24 home runs, 101 RBIs, 12 stolen bases, and a 942 OPS. Justin Dirden is a stud, and he has been hitting ever since he's been with the Astros and the Astros organization. Of course, he's obviously making the most of it with his 2 home runs and 3 at bats. You know, I mean, he looks the part. Eric, I've seen this guy play outfield. He can range a ball. He can track down a ball. He's got an arm. I really, really like what I'm seeing in Dirden, and I don't know that Dirden makes it opening day, but I think Dirden definitely impacts this roster in 2023. And I think, I mean, if you look at the catch by Mauricio Dubon, the diving catch, he's kind of put on some weight. He's looking good. Corey Joltz, who we haven't really given plenty of airtime to, this kid looks every bit of a major league player right now. And I don't know what it's going to take for Corey Joltz to break through. You've got a lot of people gunning for those outfield spots, Eric.
Don't resign Kyle Tucker. As easy as that. Let him
go. What?
Don't re-sign Kyle Tucker. Let him
okay.
go.
Okay, none of these guys are Kyle Tucker.
I know.
Let's just make that clear. We don't have another Kyle Tucker on this team. We have a lot of very good major league players. We have a lot of potential with some high ceilings. But Dirden, Dubon, you've got, the harvest is plenty, my friend. This outfield, I'm telling you, Justin Dirden, he's making a statement. And I really, really think we can expect some big things and probably make an impact, like I said, in 2023.
So Dearden is 25 years old. I see a lot of people in comments asking how old he is. I saw somebody in the comments earlier ask if he could play center field. He's played center field in the minor leagues in 62 games. He's played right field 76 games, and he's played left field 52 games. So he's basically played all across the field. So he's got a little bit of experience everywhere. The better fielding percentage is at center field with a 992 fielding percentage. And the worst fielding percentage, I guess it's about the same, is left field 977, right field 971. So, but overall, he looks like last year, what did he do? He had, it was like 25 home runs, trying to see the batting average going up here. He had 24 home runs between two teams with 101 RBIs, batted 302 with a 942 OPS. He had 266 total bases, and he did have 12 stolen bases as well. So this is a guy that could potentially be a really toolsy guy and somebody that could play good defense as well.
Yeah, I just look at these stats. I like what I see, and I know we all love Chaz. I know he's a fan favorite, but competition is not bad, folks. And something that a true professional athlete does not shy away from is competition. Chaz knows that it's his job to win or lose, and Dirden knows he wants to be on the field. Myers knows he wants to be on the field, but I'll be really honest with you. Watching Jake Myers play the outfield the other day, I didn't get a great feeling. Now, I think the balls that were hit to him were kind of lazy fly balls. He didn't really have a chance. I don't know that him laying out, he would have got to the baseballs because of the way they were dropping. So I'll give him that. But watching Mauricio Dubon dive and make a catch, seeing Will Wagner flash the leather, seeing these guys out there do that. But then when I don't see that out of Jake Myers, I don't know. Like, I want to be on the Jake Myers train. I need to see more from what he's going to give us to see where he is, to see if his shoulder can hold up, if he's there mentally. Because right now there's a lot of other guys that are impressing and making a very early move to be in consideration down the road, even over Super Jake Myers.
Hey, a former Astros GM got hired, and unfortunately,
I saw that.
I'm not talking about Jeff Luhnow. I'm talking about James Click. He got hired by the Blue Jays as the vice president of baseball strategy.
Oh, nice.
So
there you
that
go.
does
Hey.
not sound like a made up position. I'm just kidding. But
No, good for him. Good for him.
No, I think that's what that's going to allow him to do is use his analytics and use what he was good at to help the Blue Jays kind of make their decisions. And so I think that's a good job for him. And he said that Dusty Baker said that James Click called him this morning. And so Baker said, I always thought he had a bright future. Just sometimes things just don't work. So basically that's the situation here in Houston. So now he's going to be.
He's like, look, you win a World Series and you get canned, or you get an insulting offer. So hey, what more can I do? It's kind of like when Larry Coker took over at the University of Miami and went undefeated and they won a national title. Someone said, how tough was it coaching at Miami after he left there? He said, well, when you go 12-0 and the boosters pat you on the back and say, hope you'll do better next year. I mean, that's, look, James Click, we know that was a personality conflict. We know that just wasn't – James Click didn't do the things that I think Jim Crane wanted him to do, and I don't think they got along, and that's why Jim Crane offered. He basically gave him an offer that he knew he would refuse. But I think it's worked out great for us. Dana Brown, as tenacious as he is, I don't know that he's going to be able to sign everybody he's saying he wants to sign, but the desire is there. and the work ethic is there. And so I guess only time will tell who will remain an Astro after the next couple seasons.
Yes. So, I mean, at least he can have the Bart Simpson, at least you tried cake and give it to Astros fans. And I tried. And
I forgot about that. Good
so,
reference.
let's talk a little bit about Ty Buttery. I know that this is somebody that might not make the opening day roster. He may be a part of the Astros bullpen at some point. The Astros have one of the best bullpens in baseball, but apparently he retired from baseball. He just wasn't feeling it after being overworked one season. He just wasn't feeling love for the game, and he was focusing too much on all the negatives and being being perfect. And so it just got overwhelming for him. So he just decided to step away from baseball. So last year he decided to step back to baseball. The Angels brought him back, and he just stayed in AAA all season. And so he reunited with his old coach, Doug White, who used to be with the Astros. And so basically he said, hey, if you want a team that can fix you, you need to go with the guys over there at the Astros. They can do wonders with you. They use analytics. They can help you fix your delivery. They can help you look at the data, and just basically he said, I wanted to go to the best, and that's the Houston Astros. And so this is a team that he pitched a lot against the Houston Astros. And so he just said, I was just looking at it like this. If I can do what I do and I can pitch how I know I can pitch, get my velocity back to where it is and increase a few things, I know I have a shot to break with this club. If not, I can go down to Sugar Land and continue doing things. There's no reason why I can't be one of the best bullpen arms in this game. So this guy still has confidence. So he knows the stuff he has. Now it's just about the Astros and the pitching coaches being able to release the inner Buttery in there.
You love saying this guy's last name. Yes, Ty. I mean, who knows? He's kind of a wild card. I'm actually a little bit more excited about this Gage guy, this Matt Gage coming in. I think this kid. I think we found a diamond in the rough. I want to thank the Blue Jays in advance for releasing him, because I think this guy Gage is going to be the one. Buttery stands a chance to come in here and, stay with the club, maybe not the major league roster, but maybe a minor league type deal. And who knows, he could be a guy that would be serviceable down the road. But a guy like this you sign could be low risk, high reward.
Right.
But it's great to hear the reputation they have, because it basically reinforces what the pitchers that we've interviewed on this show have told us over and over and over, is that what the Astros do with pitchers, what the Astros do with their development. I mean, you just look at what we did to Charlie Morton's career. You look at what we did with Dallas Keuchel. I mean, Dallas Keuchel did not win a Cy Young without us. Garrett Cole does not become Garrett Cole without the Houston Astros. And there are so many other examples. So I think it's great, someone asked in here, who's more important to sign, Framber or Tucker, since we're talking about pitchers. I think Tucker's the more important one to sign, but I think the more realistic one to sign is Framber. But, just to kind of answer that question off on the side, but, there are a lot of fun battles going on right now in spring training. Some of the guys are getting ramped up. I saw Jeremy Peña talk about how they're getting early work in because of the World Baseball Classic. You've got about 5 or 6 guys from the Astros that are going to be going to different countries. And I heard a GM from another team talking on SiriusXM radio, and I thought this was interesting. The World Baseball Classic teams and coaches have been in touch with every major league GM and coaching staff to talk about workload, to talk about what they're going to be doing and how much they're going to be working, how much they're going to be playing. So I think that's a key thing, that you have that open line of communication, that they're basically saying, is this okay? Is that okay? And that kind of comforts me a little bit, because my big concern with them being in the World Baseball Classic is what adverse effect will it have on them getting prepared to pitch in the regular season.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with that, and I think that's important because you don't want people like Christian Javier or Luis Garcia or anybody that's going out there just like hurting themselves or Kitty to that for that effect. So, yeah, so definitely workload and how much they play, and I think that's a big consideration. That's why you see a lot of these teams taking a whole bunch of people just to kind of share the workload. So, I do want to kind of address what we talked about. We kind of teased yesterday. There is some Warner Brothers and it's Discovery, the parent company, AT&T Sports Southwest, informed both teams by a letter Friday that it plans to exit the RSN business, which is basically streaming or broadcasting the sports. And they want to negotiate with the teams to assume responsibility for broadcasting and distributing their own games. So basically, a lot of teams are at risk of losing their sponsorship, meaning their broadcasting.
Yeah, so
But go ahead.
yeah, because RSN stands for Regional Sports
Yeah.
Network for people. Because I think at first I was like, wait, is that Root Sports Network? No, it's every team has a regional
Right.
sports network, and so this is being disrupted in a major way.
Yeah. So since the Astros and the Rockets technically have contracts till 2032, nothing will happen in the Houston market. We will be
Mm.
fine. What may happen is the Astros and the Rockets may have to pay a little more for that, and they won't get the additional income from that. But we should be fine in terms of being able to watch the Astros and the Rockets.
So does that
So
mean ticket prices are going to go up because
I
they
don't
won't
know.
be getting
I
the
mean,
revenue?
you're going to have to pay for Jose Altuve. You're going to have to pay for Alex Bregman. You're going to have to pay for Kyle Tucker. So,
But I want everybody. I want them to sign everybody. No, you don't.
yeah.
No,
So it
you
says
don't.
AT&T Sportsnet is not immune from the well-known challenges that the entire RSN industry is facing. We will continue to engage in private conversations with our partners as we seek to identify reasonable and constructive solutions. That was Warner Brothers and Discovery in a statement. So they're trying to work this out, but there should not be any concern about losing broadcast in this market.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because I know there for a while it has been I know at times it's been a frustration because if you had a certain service you couldn't watch the Astros at all. I just think Major League Baseball needs to just end the whole blackout thing. I think it's absurd. Um, the fact that I think it's Iowa. There's some random state in the Midwest that literally is blacked out from like 8 or 9 different Major League sports teams, and they don't even have a professional sport in their state. It's absolutely absurd. So blackout policies, you know what? I would have rather them fix the blackout stuff before they go changing the rules and messing with the game of
Yeah.
baseball. I think you want to grow the game. Well, hey, how can we grow the game if people can't even watch it at home, right? It makes no sense to me. And now we got all these rule changes and all this clock stuff and just all the minutia to quote unquote bring in fans. I'm still patiently going to wait for those numbers to roll in from Major League Baseball to show me how many more people consume baseball because of the new rules.
I think that at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to even. I mean, it's going to be an issue at times during the regular season, but I think we're going to get so used to it that it's not going to be a big deal. Yeah, you're going to have a couple games end on something stupid like what happened with the Braves, but it's not going to be as big an issue as we're probably making it because teams are smart. They're going to adjust. The hitters are going to adjust. Like we even saw Jose Altuve today. He wasn't able to do all his normal antics, and he just kind of just stood there. Yes, he went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. I'm not worried about that.
Because of the
I'm
pitch
not.
clock. No, I'm joking.
No, it's not because of the pitch clock. It's spring training. So
That's
I'm
what
not
people are
worried about that
saying.
at all.
People are
I'm
like,
not
because
worried
of the
about
pitch
that at
clock.
all. But
Well,
Jeremy
look,
Peña did play today, and he was asked about the shift being banned, and he's like, "That's fine. I'm not worried about that. We can cover. I have a good range, so I can cover it still." And so we'll have to talk about the shift and the rules for that on a next episode. But Yainer Diaz had a good throw from what I heard as well today. So there's a lot of good things that happen with Astros, even in the loss.
Oh yeah, definitely. You are not looking at the box score of how many runs a team scores and whether you win or lose. You're looking at the performance. You're looking at, again, what Whitley did, how Diaz reacts behind the plate, what the young outfielders are doing, throwing the ball in, how they track down fly balls, turning double plays, just all those things. What does a young hitter do after they strike out? What does a young hitter do after they get a triple? You're looking at all these things, the makeup of these players, and someone said, and I couldn't tell if they were joking, but social media can be such a mess. Someone was asking, why are more players not playing early on in spring training? I'm like, I'm just
That's
thinking
how it's
maybe
always
this
been.
person, maybe they just started watching baseball, so I just didn't comment, but everything's going to go in stride. Everything's going to come in pieces, and we're going to see what we need to see. I still think that this Astros team is poised more than any other team in the American League to go back to the World Series. And I'm super excited what I'm seeing out of the young guns and out of these young players. And it just makes me happy about we got to give credit to the baseball development guys, to the coaches through the years that have coach these kids up, because I love the product we're getting early on.
All right, to kind of close out the show, I do want to give out the lengths of the game so far: 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2 hours and 7 minutes, and 2 hours and 19 minutes. If you want a shorter baseball games, you got it, Rob Manfred. So that's
Well,
all.
but listen, here's the deal though. They're swinging early and often in spring training. I don't think they're going to do that in the major league games. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were going to go into monologue mode.
No, no, no. I'm just saying they're swinging early and often right now because I think they're being more aggressive. I don't think the games will be that short once regular season starts. I think you're going to see closer to 3 hour games, if I'm being honest.
And we'll see. We'll see how the rules take place. Like, it's too early to tell about any of these rules. And I think the biggest thing that's going to change the game for good is, I think, the bigger bases, fewer injuries. I think you're going to see more stolen bases, and that's something that you miss. The game was so fun when Ricky Henderson was stealing all those bases back then. So you need to bring the speed back. So, guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me at Eric Talk Stros. You can find Brett at H-Town Wheelhouse, and we will be back tomorrow with another edition of Locked On Astros podcast, and go Stros.